I guess to go back to the start with you, you grew up in London and then moved to Kosovo with your family, and then at 15 you decided to move back to London by yourself to pursue your singing career.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive self-confidence for a 15-year-old. Was that a hard decision to make?
No, it wasn't. I was very excited about it, and I think I was lucky because a girl that was living in Kosovo, that was like a family friend, was going to London to do her master's, and that also kind of helped me in the persuading of my parents, which wasn't actually so difficult in the first place. Was like, I'm just gonna go and live with her, and even though I was in London, like, I don't know, I would wake up, I'd call my mum, I'd leave, I'd go to school, I'd leave school, I'd call. You know, it was kind of like under controlled circumstances for a couple of years until I was like old enough to just be like, it's cool, we don't have to talk every second. But they've always just been so supportive, and they've always, you know, been my best friends as well as my parents.
And at what age were you when you were able to turn your singing career into a full-time thing?
I was 18. That was when I signed my deal.
Yeah.
And I was working in a restaurant in Soho as a hostess, and I remember signing my deal and I was like, oh, I can quit my job now and I don't have to go back. And I was like, okay, this is so exciting. And I quit my job, and every day I was waking up and going to the studio and writing, and I was like, I just need to keep going because I don't ever want to go back.
And did it take you long to find the Dua Lipa sound? What was the first song you wrote that ended up on the album?
The first song that I wrote that kind of dictated everything was Hotter Than Hell. He calls me the devil, I make him wanna sin. Every time I knock, he can help but let me in. Must be homesick for the real. It was actually Hotter Than Hell and Thinking About You, and they're both on the album, and they are both the two songs that I felt like I really kind of captured my style, although they're so different. Hotter Than Hell kind of just started as piano and a kick drum, and there was none of like the electronic production that was on it. And it was when I went to Canada to work with a producer called Cos, who then I worked with on my whole album, where we wrote a song together called Last Dance. And I was like, I love the production, do you want to have a go at doing Hotter Than Hell? And he kind of turned it into what it is now. But I guess it was kind of tricky to kind of figure out what my genre was, because growing up I listened to so many different types of music, from pop artists that I absolutely loved, like Nelly Furtado and Pink. I also listened to lots of British rock because my parents would listen to it at home, like Oasis and Stereophonics, and then David Bowie, and just such a mix of so many different artists. And when I moved to Kosovo, everybody listened to hip hop. So I was pretty confused. And so going into the studio, it was really trying to find a mixture of all those things into something that I really identified with, and that was that.
And so there were 2 years between your first single, Be The One, until your number one, New Rules.
Talking in my sleep at night, making myself crazy. Out of my mind.
What were those 2 years like? From the outside it looked like a bit of a slow burn, but I imagine it was quite different from the inside.
It was, I guess from the very beginning, quite a whirlwind. I mean, now this past year has kind of probably been the fastest year of my life. But everything has kind of, I don't know, gradually grown. I've always wanted, like, the next thing that I put out, like, I always wanted it to build more and more momentum. So I was hoping it would lead to this, but I never expected anything to do what New Rules did. It kind of took, like, a whole world of its own, and although I felt really passionately about the song and the video, and it, like, it was really the video that was really my story. That's what I would do when I'd go through a breakup, would be with my friends without the synchronized hair combing and the matching robes, but pretty much like I would always go to my friends for comfort but also advice, because I always tend to be the person that's really good at giving advice but terrible at taking my own. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, and it was really nice to see people react to it the way they did, and it really did change my life.
What do you think it was about the song that resonated so much?
Well, I think it's very relatable. I think everyone has gone through that at some point or will go through that at some point. And like I said, like I'm so good at giving advice to other people but not taking my own. And that, you know, the song and the video really kind of show that you know, somebody helps you get through something and you have to help your friends and the people around you get through it too.
Do you find it easier to put that advice in lyric form rather than put it into action yourself, and then maybe once you've got it down on paper, that's when you start?
Well, I found that in most of my songs, like I've always found it so therapeutic to write about things, like even in Hotter Than Hell, like when I started writing that song, it was initially quite a sad song, so I came out of a really awful breakup, and I just felt like I wasn't good enough, but I didn't want that person to know that I felt like that. So I kind of had this false sense of confidence for that song. And then as I was writing it, I started getting over the situation and I felt more empowered. And sometimes even when you kind of tell yourself so many times in your head that it's not the way you thought it was, it helps.
You used the word empowered, which I thought was a great one, because I was thinking about your trifecta of empowering breakup songs. I Don't Give an F, New Rules, Hotter Than Hell. How does it feel to know that those songs resonate with people and are empowering to your listeners?
It feels really good, especially when fans and listeners just kind of come up to me and they're like, "This song really helped me get over a breakup. I feel like I'm where I should be and doing what I should be doing." And my favorite artists being Nelly Furtado and Pink, I feel like their songs like Just Like a Pill and Baby Girl and Man Eater and all this stuff, like you feel so badass when you're listening to it. And You in Your Hand, like it's just, there are all these songs that I feel have that kind of empowering feeling that I loved getting. And it's so nice to also be able to put that out. I got no rules, I count 'em.
New Rules was the first UK #1 from a solo female artist in 2 years. The previous one was Adele with Hello.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Crazy. It was just like a really surreal feeling. It was really exciting to, I guess, I don't know, be recognized in that way and to have people respond to the song like that. It was just really exciting, especially in like, I guess, my home in the UK. To have my first #1 was really, really special.
I read an article in The Guardian last year that talked about pop's glass ceiling. Basically was, talking about how there are a number of amazing female pop stars and musicians at the moment. I'm talking, the article mentioned you and Alma and Mer and Charlie XCX, and talked about how they're not quite breaking through in the same way that they have been previously. You know, Adele and Taylor Swift probably, and Sia probably were the last generation, maybe 5 years ago, to really get through.
Well, I don't know really. I feel like it's a lot harder to break through. Firstly because of streaming services, and they're amazing, but I guess people are still learning, and record labels are still learning how to kind of break an artist with it, because it's so obvious that the artists that have been on the scene for so long, the second they release anything, it kind of climbs up the charts, it goes onto all the playlists, and it's kind of changed the game a little bit. And I think as a new artist or as an up-and-coming artist, you really have to put out a lot of music and you have to, I don't know, really be in people's faces for people to really see you and hear about you, because it's a lot harder to break through, even on social media. And what I think about, you know, the pressures of you saying that people need like a social, like an opinion, I guess. I think the second you have a platform, I think you're expected to have an opinion. And I think more often than not, it's probably for the right reasons, and it's good that you should have an opinion, because a lot of people are really relying on you to be their voice, you know? And if you are the person that gives those people that opportunity, you're not just helping yourself, but you're helping others, and you're doing it for good, you know? And you would hope that people are very genuine about it, because we want to make a change and we want to make it for the better. And, you know, you want to change the world, not just with your music, but you just want to be able to see a brighter future. And especially with everything that's happening, as a woman, you're like, of course I want there to be equality. Of course I want people to see that women have exactly the same opportunities as men do. And even us doing exactly the same jobs, we want to be treated as equal. We want to stop sexual harassment. We want to stop all this misconduct that's happening in workplaces, but not just in the entertainment industry, but all over the world. And by speaking up about it, you hope that there's going to be a massive change. And I think that's really important. And there might be a pressure with it, but I think it's for all the right reasons. And there should be a pressure, because there should be, I guess, in a way, a lot expected of you in that sense. You know, you can't solve everybody's personal problems, and we all have them. And sometimes when you do have a voice, people do expect that of you as well. But I think the most important thing is just to do good and spread good and try and make a change in society. And that, you know, not just trying to solve one individual's problems, but everyone's as like a collective, to just help progress.
If you don't like the way I talk, then why am I on your mind? If you don't like the way I rock, then finish your glass of wine.
What's it like to do your job?
What's it like to do my job? That's a good question. It's really, really fun, and I love it, and I'm so grateful to be doing what I do. And yeah, there are times that I get homesick and times that I miss my bed and I want a home-cooked meal. But there is no feeling like the feeling I get before going on stage. It's like, and I think I said this before, but it's like falling in love when you get all these crazy butterflies, when you have this anticipation of kind of the unknown and not really knowing what you're jumping into. It's that feeling that's so unmatched, that is also so addictive, that I love. And I'm so grateful for these opportunities and kind of, you know, what this has really given me.
And tonight I'm alive in a